Okay, Elizabeth, I am so excited to get into this interview. I know I have had the privilege of being on your podcast, the Messy Success podcast, a couple of times. So this is long overdue. So welcome to Called to Both. Hi.
Hey, I'm so excited. I was so excited when you started this podcast, by the way. Just
Oh,
the
thank
whole
you.
topic is so near and dear to my heart. So I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be great. So I feel like to kick us off, how did you get to this point in your business where now you are teaching about business, talking about communities, and simplifying your business? What has brought us here to today?
Oh my gosh. Well, the short version is I was a photographer just like you, and
Mm-hmm.
I kind of fell in love with helping other women not just become photographers, but build sustainable businesses. And I just decided that I didn't want to box myself into only working with photographers. And I just continued self-development on steroids, trying to figure out, do I want to be a business coach or a strategist or a consultant? But really, it just boils down to I love helping people have that moment where they realize that they can do something that they absolutely love and make a living doing it. And I kind of feel like that's my life's purpose, is to just help people see opportunity. So that's the short version, but photography is what started it all.
Yeah, I love that. And of course, we share that. We have that in common. But I think also you said just being a lifelong learner and constantly absorbing information. And I love that about your show. And I've learned so much from your show. So tell me, I recently, I feel like in your world, I've been seeing so much of your content talking about simplifying your business. And that is why I was like, Liz, you have to come on my show. We have to talk about this because I think as creatives, as entrepreneurs, we can tend to overcomplicate things. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say about this topic. And just kind of, yeah, if you want to run with it or tell me what this means to you to simplify your business and where you're at in this journey of simplification.
Yeah, I love that. So, one of my core values in my company is light and easy, right? And how we describe that core value of light and easy is what feels light and easy for us, but provides maximum impact and care to the client. Because as a society, we have this belief that we have to work harder, that if we're going to do something better or we're going to serve someone better, we have to work harder, give them more, do more. And that's actually false. If you look at our society, the people that worked the hardest, the single moms that work 3 jobs that are still broke, versus the wealthiest people who work a couple hours a day and go out on their yacht on the weekend, it is the opposite of what we think. And I need that reminder because I am I get distracted easily. I overthink. So having that core value of keeping things light and easy for us, but maximum impact for the customer has just been a game changer for my business, and trying to focus on one bridge at a time, not 5, because I am the queen of I want to build all the things and sell all the things and help all the people. So it is a
Yes.
challenge for me daily. I can't say that I've mastered it, but it's definitely something that we try to embody.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that this is a core value and how oftentimes we overcomplicate things. And I have fallen into that, especially this past year, thinking if something isn't working the way that I want it to work in my business or even in my life, that it probably just needs more. And then I realized, why is my default to think I need more time, more softwares, more tools, more help, more automation? I'm like, wait, maybe this answer is can we simplify it? Can we make it easier? Have I made this more complicated potentially than it needs to be? So is there something that you've simplified recently in your business that you can share with us?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I used to try to do all these one-to-many offers, right? And a one-to-many offer requires a lot of parts. You need a webinar and you need a funnel and you need all these things. When really, if I want a high-ticket client, I just email people. I was
Mm,
way overcomplicating that process when really all you have to do is look in your network. I started this entire spreadsheet of my network, and I will literally just email people do you know anyone that needs X, Y, and Z, and get those conversations started. And that keeps me booking clients and keeps me networking and keeps me giving back. And I'm and it didn't require any parts and pieces. It's not outward
yeah.
facing. It takes a few minutes. I mean,
Wow.
if it's a high ticket offer, you only need 3 to 5 people to say yes. So you reach out
Yeah.
to 10, good to go.
crazy, and zero social media and no
Yeah.
Pinterest, and all these things are wonderful, but it like hacking into your network is so smart. And you're like the community queen over here. So I love that you're pairing this community growth with your actual network and saying, where can I find these higher end clients? Okay, this thinking about paring back, it makes me ask this question. Is there such a thing as like oversimplifying? Like, have you ever taken this too far where you've canceled something or taken it so far back that it doesn't make sense anymore?
No, I don't think I have necessarily done that. Like, I always have to really work hard to simplify, but I do think that we can simplify something to the point where we're like avoiding automation tools or things that might make our life easier. Like, I think about when I started, photography, and like someone would want to work with me and I would just send them an email back like, okay, cool. Like, here's a paragraph, here's my pricing. And yes, it kept it really simple, but it was actually
Mm,
more work for me and like not as white glove of an experience for them. So it's like I had to
yeah.
like get with the times and have a pricing guide and have a website and have like an online payment portal. There are people that are still like having people sign their contracts on paper and like scan it back. Like, to me, that's like you're resisting
Yeah.
trying something new and learning something new and keeping it simple because it works, but you also have to like evolve a little bit. So I think that's
Yeah.
kind of where I've seen those tendencies in myself or in other people, but I'm definitely more of an overcomplicate than oversimplify.
I can relate to that on a deep level. I want a more simplified business. And so that is something that I'm seeking in my business. Do you have any advice for a way to begin this? Like
Mm.
where to start or what to ask yourself when you're seeking a more simplified business?
Yeah. I mean, I think focusing on building one bridge at a time. And when I say bridge, I mean like one revenue stream
Mhm.
at a time, and not continuing to jump among other things. And, looking back, like this whole trend of like being multi passionate, right? We can all be multi passionate, but if you really want your business to be successful and sustainable and profitable, just build one thing at a time until you master the machine that sells it, right? Building a course and delivering a course is like the easy part.
Mhm.
Marketing it in a sustainable way is the difficult part. So if you can master the selling machine of the thing, that's when you
Yeah.
move on to the next bridge. And I wish that I could say I'm like, oh, I'm the master of this. But no, I mean, I have to work hard to try to embody these ways of being, of who I need to become to like master
Mm.
that one bridge, right? But
Yeah.
knowing that that's where I struggle, I feel like that's an area that I can tell people, don't do what I have done. Like, really just focus on one bridge and getting it super profitable so that you can step out of it. It will continue to make money and then start the next bridge.
Mm. Okay, it sounds like you're speaking from experience and potentially doing a lot of the wrong things. So, if you could go back to your younger self in your business at any point,
Yeah.
what is something that you wish you would have done differently? Or even like if you could have sat down and had a conversation with yourself in those early years, like what would you say?
Oh my gosh, just exactly that. Like, stick with the bridge. And it's so funny because I always tell people about my Find Your Vibe mastermind that you were actually in, God, like 5 or 6 years ago. And
Yeah.
it was super successful. I did 3 cohorts of it. I did a beta and then I did 2 cohorts, and it was profitable. It was successful. And then I just like put it on the shelf because I wanted to go do something else. Right.
Yeah.
And to this day, I'm like, if I would have stuck with that one thing, because I had a good offer, I had a good
Hmm.
conversion rate, I had good results, like I would probably be making like $500,000 a year off of that one thing. But I couldn't just stick with one bridge. Like, I had to go off and do something else. And that is who I am at a core. So there's a balance of like, let's
Yes.
embrace who we are. Like, there's no shaming, there's no guilt. But I didn't have like the mind of a CEO that I have now. I was kind of
Mm.
like just figuring it all out?
Yeah, yeah. I remember I was watching a video. Like some YouTuber was talking about different streams of income, and she was saying she like turned on this faucet and was like, "You've got to make sure that like that stream is fully flowing before you move on to the next one." And immediately I was like, oh, awkward. Like I have all these like things going on, and some of them are like a drip and some of them are like a full stream. And so that was just a really powerful visual for me of realizing that, it's like I was running around spinning plates and there wasn't a whole lot of intention on one. And I like that you're saying this is like the bridge. Like, what is the focus? Do you focus on a bridge for a certain amount of time or until that bridge is strong? Like, how do you see that in your business?
Yeah, I don't know that you ever really stop focusing on it, but once you build a machine that works, then it's like just looking at the different pieces and parts of like, okay, here's the welcome sequence. They seem to fall off at email number 3. And you just continue to be a scientist of every little piece and part of that machine, but you can build a team that then starts to manage it and do it for you. And you're only showing up for like, the CEO parts, but also like, I know we have a lot of like working moms listening to this podcast, and I don't want to overwhelm people or say like, don't experiment, because I wouldn't be as knowledgeable as I am if I hadn't just been willing to take messy action and throw spaghetti at the wall. So, while my smart CEO present day self was like, could have done that differently, I might not be that smart version of myself had I not done all the scrappy, crazy things that I've done. So it's definitely a balance of both. Like, let's embrace the messy journey. Let's take action because that's the best way to find clarity and next steps, but also like stick with the bridge.
I love that. Yes.
You can do it. Like, I would always give up when it came to the cold traffic part. Like, my warm audience would buy everything that I put out there. I mean, I have women that have bought every single offer I've ever created. So I just kept creating new for them. And I never mastered the cold traffic.
Okay. So you mentioned team. Where do you think having a team plays into having a simplified business?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like, my team is everything to me at this point. I always say like my podcast wouldn't exist if I had to get rid of my team. Like, literally my podcast would have to go away because I don't have, I would be able to get the episodes uploaded, but there would be no SEO. There would be no show notes. There would be no like social pushing out of the podcast. Like, it would kind of just sit there, which defeats the purpose. And my team has really grown our Pinterest, and that's performing well. That would go away. Like, there's just no way that I could function and get some of the visibility and list building things that we're doing without them. So that 100% simplifies it because I'm not doing any of those, $10 to $25 an hour tasks. Like, I'm staying in tasks that are closer to my hourly rate, as the business owner. So it keeps it simple in how I show up, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like part of simplifying is paring back what is on your plate so you can actually focus on the bridge that you need to be focusing on and let people help you. Yeah. I feel the same way about my team. If I can ask, what was your first hire for the team or the business you have today? Because I know you've had lots of iterations and different twists and turns along the way, but the business that you have today, who on the team was that first hire?
Like, who's still there?
Yeah, I guess or if you were, kind of going back and thinking, what were some of those first roles that would make sense?
I did a lot of things wrong when it came to outsourcing and delegating because I had like no systems or processes. Like, I think a lot of people make the mistake of like trying to hire to solve a problem. Like, oh, I need to do Facebook ads, so I'm just going to hire someone to do Facebook ads. But if you don't have like a proven offer that already performs well, you're not going to be able to have successful Facebook ads. And most Facebook ads people aren't necessarily teaching people how to have a good offer. So I made that mistake really early on of just like, oh, let me just throw some money at this problem I want to solve. And the difference now is that like I try to understand everything before I then delegate it, which is great because then you're not hiring as expensive of people either because they don't have to be an expert at something. Like my Pinterest, assistant, I just bought her a course, had her go through the Pinterest course, and then she's like off to the races. So like I didn't have to hire a Pinterest expert. I just hired a normal person.
Yes. Which is far more like it's going to be more sustainable to have more team members when you're starting off if you can train them yourself and not get someone that's like an SEO expert, a Pinterest expert, a Facebook ads expert. And like you said, the best way to do that is if you at least have your SOPs or basic understanding, or you can hand them a course. I love that you bought your team member a course and just said, here, take this, and I will pay you to do this. And a lot of people are excited about that because they are genuinely interested in growing their skills as well. And then they become a more marketable VA or whatever it is. And I think that's great. So finding people that want to grow with you is huge. So, okay. I'm like, I don't want it to get totally into team.
It's totally true though, because she has another Pinterest client now. Like all thanks to
yes,
like,
this has happened
true.
with a team member of mine as well, right? Yeah, and with Pinterest, it's so interesting because it's so needed. And once you kind of get a little bit of a approach with Pinterest, you can market it to other people. And that's exactly what my VA has done. Okay, so I see all these softwares and I kind of want to try all of them. And I see especially like the text-based or texting softwares where you can have almost like email marketing, but it's text marketing. And I see these things and I wonder if it's just like shiny object, like, am I making this more complicated? And I'm curious, like, if you have thoughts on like how you choose softwares or programs or courses, like how do you decide if it's going to support your light and easy core value or if it's just another distraction?
Oh my God. I feel like like that I'm going through this exactly right now for some reason. Like, oh my God. So I do tend to like explore the software a little bit. Like right now I'm really trying to find a community building platform that's off of Facebook that I'm comfortable endorsing, because that is the number one question I get asked is like, what should I use if I'm going to build a platform off Facebook? And so I'm dabbling and I'm trying out Heartbeat. They have a great affiliate program. They're kind of like Slack, which I love. But I'm like kind of hitting this point where I'm like, it's not quite as user friendly as I was hoping. And now I'm starting to feel like I'm kind of distracted. So like, how important is this? Right. And I don't have the answer yet, because like I'm literally gauging that this week of like, how many hours or how much time can I dedicate to trying to learn this new software? Is the juice going to be worth the squeeze? Like, and
that's it.
I just don't know.
That's the best way of putting it too. I'm going to totally steal that. Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
So do you track your time that you sink into these things when you are exploring new softwares, that you have a point to it? You're thinking, I'm going to educate on this. I'm going to potentially host my community on this. It furthers the vision that you have, of course. But then at a certain point, you're like, maybe it's not it. Do you almost have this like inner compass? It sounds like you're starting to feel it. You just feel like this isn't it, and I'm potentially wasting my time.
Yeah. I mean, and definitely with the free trial. So they have a 14-day free trial. So I'm giving myself 14 days to like make a decision. Am I in or am I out? So I do try to balance my time, because I look at this as more like creative time, not priority time. So, like Tuesday, I had really big, important meetings, like didn't touch it on Tuesday. But then yesterday I had a free hour that I just like kind of tinkered around, like try to figure it out. Then I had like random 30 minutes before bed, which I wouldn't really consider like work time, but it was creative time. So I do like intuitively keep track of it. I'm not so hardcore that I'm like writing it down or anything like that. But to your text message question, I do think it depends on the business, but we have seen really great success with text messaging in Joey's business. We just added it like 3 to 6 months ago.
This is all that I hear. And that's what gets me so excited, because I think it's like the competitive, like Enneagram 3 starts like rising up in me. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't want to get left behind on this, because this is exciting. And it's definitely like in my Notion board, like I have a discount code for a certain software that I'm like, I'm going to try that. I'm going to see that. But for me, I know that it's a distraction right now, because I have these other things that need my focus for like at least the next quarter, like at least the next 90 days. Okay, you mentioned creative time versus priority time. Do you break up your workday in a way that you can share? Like, how do you plan out your time when you're working?
Oh my gosh, this is like one of my favorite things that has really made me step into a higher level business owner because I am type B, I'm messy. I like to sit down and not know what I'm doing. Like I like that feeling sometimes.
Yeah. Like an
But
open, you can do
yes.
whatever you want. Yeah.
Yes, but what I noticed is I started to get very frustrated with myself with either
Mm.
bigger projects not getting done or just not feeling like I was properly prioritizing. I really started surrounding myself with very high level business owners, and I started to see my own gaps, right? Like they were a mirror of like the stuff that I wasn't doing. So I learned what's called like strategic planning and mapping in your calendar, and I just use a Google Calendar, but every single minute from 8:30 when I start until 4 o'clock when I stop is like literally written out like what I'm working on. So every morning from 8 to 10, this is like an exception, right? Because this is a cool opportunity to be on your podcast. But every morning from 8 to 10 is like I'm only allowed to work in my business. So no client
Okay.
work, no whatever, no meetings, just my own business from 8 to 10 every morning. And then within those little blocks, I will write like to-dos, like recording a podcast, or my assistant Amanda knows if the team needs something, she will put that in those green blocks. Like that's where she's allowed to put my tasks. And she'll do it for
Interesting.
me so that they don't have to say like, Liz, I need this. They just go to Amanda and she writes it in the time block. And then the day is just built out like that. My gym is blocked in from 3 to 5 every Monday and Wednesday. If I have to pick up Anthony, that is literally in my calendar, how early I need to stop working to go pick up Anthony.
Mm.
Walking the dog, like 15 minutes if I have 15 minutes in between meetings. So it's like this beautiful, like color coded like schedule. But in that schedule, there is what I call like white space or deep project work. So if I have a 2 hour block, it'll say like deep project. And that's when I know I'm building a sales page or a landing page or an email funnel, stuff like that. So, yes. And it sounds like people listening might be cringing, like, ooh, that's too much structure, but you build in the time off. Like the
Yeah.
gym time is part of the work. The rest is part of the work. Walking the dog is part of
Mm.
the work. So you just build that in. And what I found was I enjoyed walking the dog so much more because it wasn't like, oh my God, I got to get back to my desk. Like, screw you, Luna. Like, I got to work. I got to work. It was like, no, like, this is what my day looks like. And this is built in, right? Like, I had that permission.
Yes. No, I actually love this. And it's like you're saying, it can sound constraining at first for someone who hasn't had that like color coded calendar, digital plan where it's like 30-minute time slots. Like that sounds intense, but literally this is a calendar of things you have chosen. And so the slots feel different because it's filled with the stuff you have chosen. And one thing that really stands out to me is the 2 hour slot every day for your business.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something I hear constantly in my DMs with my coaching clients, like my students there, like I am so busy with client work and just fulfilling on like the minimum and just being a mom that like I have the same stuff on my to-do list and it just keeps getting moved over. These projects aren't happening. Like, when do I work on my business? And it's like you're saying, it's like you're carving that time out. It's like the profit first model, but for your time. It's like you get the time, you get the pay first, and then you figure out where else can this fit in. And it's such a mental shift. It does take a second, and it probably ebbs and flows with your season. Like your calendar is going to change, but it's huge. And then it's so encouraging to see these projects actually start to come to fruition. And that's motivating and that keeps you going. Because I know that when you're just doing client work, it's fulfilling in its own way and it's money, but then it can be creatively draining.
Yeah.
And you don't have that time to sit there and play with the software without feeling like, oh my gosh, I should be editing. I should be doing this design work. I should be doing something else. So I really like that. And this is definitely challenging me to revisit my calendar a little bit, make sure I have enough white space, because then I could say like, okay, I do want to play with this tech software, but like, let's assign it to a time. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel like I'm, it's all the shoulds, like I should be doing this or I should be doing that. So that's so helpful. And I love that you have given your team members permission as well to step into this so that it's not like you by yourself in your calendar and they're doing their own thing. Have you found that like the more you invite your team members into like all of this, the more cohesively you guys work together?
Yeah, and the best way to get started with the calendar stuff, especially if you're kind of type B like me, is to get on a call with a team member, right? So you and I would get on a call together. We would screen share and look at the calendar together, and she will ask me questions like, "What do you want to get done this week? Like, what's on your plate this week?" And then as I'm talking and kind of brainstorming, she's like helping me fill them into the calendar. And I would say, "Okay, Thursday's a good day. Like, I don't have calls Thursday. Let's build a big project in on Thursday." And having that accountability, like I would meet with her every single Tuesday. And sometimes I was like, oh, I got other things to do. But that calendar mapping for 30 minutes every single Tuesday would make the entire next 7 days go that much smoother. And just
Mm.
having her eyes on it. So she knows how I like my calendar. So she knows what to do. And that accountability piece, for me was absolutely huge.
That is huge. It's like holding you because you've said it, you've shared it, and now someone else knows about it,
Yes.
and you're more likely to do it. And I've noticed that is the same with content being consistent. As soon as I have team members saying like, okay, so when do you want me to publish that video? Or like, I'm waiting on you for the next piece. It kind of lights a fire under you. You're like, okay, shoot. All right. Like I got to get going, but it's in the best way possible, because sometimes when it's just you, it can be easy to like kick the can down the road a little bit on some deadlines. So this is awesome. I love this. Okay. So what are your work hours right now?
So about like 8:15 until 4. But like Mondays
Okay.
and Wednesdays, I end early to go to the gym. And then, I mean, I have 4 o'clock meetings every Thursday. So it's not perfect, but I map from up until 4 every day.
Okay. I love this. Okay. Any final thoughts or just pieces of wisdom around simplifying
Yeah.
life, simplifying business so that we can be in alignment with our core values?
Yeah. I mean, and I have 3 kids at home. So I do say like, okay, I work 8 to 4, but I'm telling you that builds in my son coming home from daycare around 1, some kind of lunch break with him, get him down for a nap. My girls get off the bus at 3:15. So like that's all built in to the
Yeah.
calendar, right? Like I'm still very much like, part-time work, part-time mom, just like you. I know you're like such a
Yeah.
master of like your tiny little window of time, right?
Yeah.
But I have like clients on the West Coast, so I do have to be somewhat around and available, like kind of weird hours in the afternoon, but really just scheduling in that time with my son into my workday. It's like the guilt is no longer there. This like push and pull of like, oh, I should be working, but I should be with my kids, but I should be working, but I should be with my kids. It's like, no, I can actually see, okay, I'm working for 2 hours and then I'm spending an hour with Anthony. And then I have one quick meeting before the girls get off the bus. Like I'm doing it all. And it's not stressful
Yes.
because I can like see it with my eyes and everything kind of unfolds as it should.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, well, that kind of leads me into like, I have some rapid fire questions, and
Yeah.
I think that's like perfect off of the heels of what you just said. What does called to both mean to you?
Oh my gosh. When you came up with that name, I don't know if you remember, I was like, that is the best name. And I trademarked that immediately. Like it's so good. So for me, what comes up is like, I have this pet peeve when my students, my clients, or people in general say, oh, yeah, like I would love to have a business, but like my kids come first. Or, oh man, I would love to go to the gym that much, but like my kids come first. Right. Like
Mm-hmm.
it makes me cringe because I'm like, are they saying that I'm not prioritizing my children because I
Right.
don't think that way? Because I just don't think it has to be a this or that. And I am choosing my kids and putting them first by taking care of myself and by building my
Yes.
dreams and showing them what's possible. Right. And when I
Mm-hmm.
hear called to both, I hear the permission that they can be equally prioritized. Right. And we
Yeah.
shouldn't have to say out loud, I put my kids first. Like, I don't have to
Yeah.
say that. That's like known, like a universal
Yes.
thing. Like, of course, you don't have to say that
Yeah.
out loud. Your kids come first. You're a mother, right?
Yes, I remember when you shared this with me, and the way that you put that was just so perfect. You're like, well, yeah, I didn't think we had to say it, but
Right.
yes, like, of course. And it's just so true. I love the way you put that.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
like when people say that out loud, it's kind of like that's their own stuff, right? Like they've got their own stuff
Mm-hmm.
going on where they're not giving themselves permission to do what they really want to do, and like
Yeah.
there's fear there. There's like that's their safety net that they don't have to get uncomfortable to like do this big thing. Like I see all that so clearly now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You almost want to say, interesting story that you're telling
Yeah.
yourself. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I guess that's true for you.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's so good. Okay. What is one thing that has surprised you about motherhood?
Okay, this is not business related at all, but I was 100% that person that was like, ew, like I'm never letting my kids eat in the car, or like, oh God, my friend's kids like chicken hands are all over my TV, right? Like I was definitely one of those people that was like, I will not be that parent. And like the first time they're screaming and not even a year old, I'm like throwing Cheerios in the back seat.
Oh, 100%. You're chucking food. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. That's like me with printed tees. And now, of course, my son is like, wears like monster truck shirts and like dinosaurs, like everything's dinosaurs. And it's the tackiest stuff you've ever seen, but he's obsessed. And I'm happy if he's happy. So,
Yeah.
like, I've become this new person. It's great.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. You were an anti-graphic tee person before kids?
I like literally won't buy it. Like I don't
Yeah.
gravitate towards it. And so I just love just like neutrals and like plain stuff. And like, yeah, I don't like
Dressing the
little
kids
kid
like a
like
little adult.
yeah, I guess like I don't even know like who knows what deep-seated problem I have. But
Oh,
then
that's
now
so
I have
funny.
to like if I see something that has like a dinosaur with sunglasses and like a guitar, I'm like, here I am buying like a little tank top for my 2-year-old, and it's like it's full of things that are like against everything I used to say, but
It's
here we are.
hilarious. It's hilarious how you view being a parent before you're actually a parent.
Oh yeah. And now, you just smile. Like
Yeah.
I have, some of my siblings have kids, some of them don't, and you just smile. And like my husband and I look at each other and we're like, this is gonna be entertaining. Like, because it unfolds and like you find your way.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, what is one tool or tip that you can share that has helped you thrive in alignment between business and motherhood or both?
Yeah, I think really just knowing that environment is everything, and we have to surround ourselves with successful people and people that are where we want to go. I know that's not necessarily like a tool, but if somebody took away every piece of software and even my freaking computer, like as long as I still had like human beings that are 2 steps ahead of me or somehow like in where I want to be, like it is a game changer. And I remember having like this defining moment when I was a teacher where someone was like, if you continue to hang around the same people, you get the same results. And I was like, my 5 best friends are teachers. No wonder like nobody's encouraging me to like leave my job and follow my dreams. Like we all make the same amount of money. And then even being a local photographer in my area, we all make the same amount of money. We're all kind of doing the same things. Like I had to really push the envelope and continue to surround myself with people that, I could continue to learn from. And it's kind of hard lessons to learn along the way. It's like a whole nother episode we could do, but
Yeah.
it really changes everything. Just, being open to networking and not trying to do it alone.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that. I got like chills while you were talking about just when you look around at your circle and you're like, okay, maybe let's add some people, That's definitely our next episode is like, expanding your circle and up leveling through that uncomfortable expansion of surrounding yourself with people that are dreaming so much bigger than you.
Yeah.
And
And it's
like,
not like a social climbing, right? Like I know
no.
sometimes there are people that are called like social climbers, but like it's the rising tide that lifts all boats. And I have people that have come with me, like come with me on this journey, right? Like I
Yeah.
will still have lunch with you every day, but it was the shaming for the overly ambitious, like
Yes.
really learning that not everybody was embracing like me just being who I am, right? Like I can't help it. I can't stop it. I've tried.
Yeah. It doesn't go away. You can't turn it down, and you don't want to make yourself smaller than you are. I love
Right.
that. What is the last book you read or podcast that you listened to?
Oh my gosh. So Trust and Inspire is a great book if you are looking to build a team or start delegating. Even in parenting, it is really good. So it really compares this whole command and control culture versus trust and inspire. And I just 100% believe in focusing on a desired outcome with team, with parent, with all the things, and not necessarily the path to get there. Like we can give them SOPs, we can give them tools, great. But if somebody else has a different path and the outcome is the same, great. right? Like there's so much
Yeah.
micromanaging in the world of like, it's got to be done this way. And I'm like, but it's the same result. And this feels better to me as a human being, you know, and I get to be more creative. Like everybody's happy.
Yeah. Is that on Audible?
Yeah, Trust and Inspire. I forget the author. I don't have it right in front of me, but
Well,
yeah,
I'll get
great.
it linked up in the show notes. It'll be good because I'm a big Audible listener, and I'm like, oh, okay, I think that might be my next book.
I mean, even
I
just
haven't read
the
that.
opening scene or the opening chapter where he's teaching his son how to mow the grass is like, bing, it's like so good.
Oh, okay. You have me sold. I'm definitely going to listen to that. Okay. My last rapid fire question. What is something that you are excited about or looking forward to?
Oh my gosh. So I am really excited to be condensing all of my things into one bridge.
Okay.
So I have a lot of different offers, like little offers, big offers. And, you know, I have the Community Growth Lab, which is a course, and I've trademarked the name. So I'm really working hard behind the scenes on how can I take everything that I do and put it into that one bridge, that one ascension model, so that if I become known for something, that it is clean and simple and like a one-stop shop.
Okay.
So I'm not necessarily adding anything or taking anything away. I'm just figuring out how can all of my offers kind of cohabitate into one client journey.
Oh, okay. So if anybody's listening to this and they have a similar background, they can go to your website, elizabethhenson.co, and kind of watch this unfold. And is this happening this year?
Yeah. So I was originally thinking like Q3 or Q4, but I'm making progress a little faster than I thought, again, because there's so much overthinking that happens.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm like, there's part of me that wants to just pull the trigger and do a beta launch like in 2 weeks because that's just how I roll.
Yes.
But then there's part of me that wants to wait till after summer because I am adjusting my work hours during the summer, mom life. I'll be taking Mondays and Fridays, no meetings. So that I can like beach and do mom things with them and really balance that out over the summer. So we'll see. So it's either going to be like quick and dirty right now or very well planned for after they go back to school, or maybe both.
I mean, that kind of just perfectly summarizes mom life. It's either something we rush to market or it takes a little bit longer. And either way, it is beautiful. This has been so amazing. We have to have you back for sure. Where can listeners find you, follow you, and see all of the things that you create online and join your community?
Yeah. So my community is the Community Builder on Facebook. You can just go to groups and search the Community Builder. It's just a group about groups. And then I'm on Instagram at Elizabeth.Henson. And that's it. Really easy to find, Elizabeth Henson.
Yeah. And guys, go check out the Community Builder. I know Liz is saying it's just a group about groups, but it is the group for building your group. So if you have a Facebook group that's kind of just crickets right now, this is where I send all of my clients to just go watch some of your trainings because you did live trainings for like weeks and weeks and weeks and just dropped so much value. And I'm like, I don't need to repeat it all. Just go check out Liz's stuff because it really is just such a wealth of information and resources. So I will have all of that linked up in the show notes, as well as your socials and your website. And we'll certainly just have to have you back again. But thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I love this podcast so much.
Thank you.